In this video, I am going to answer a question of what is the best type of marketing for small businesses. In a nutshell, the best type of marketing is the one that delivers best results at the lowest customer or client acquisition cost. But if we are to look at it more deeply, you as a small business owner or a marketing manager need to know the following. Number one, there are really two types of marketing out there. There's inbound and outbound. Inbound is where you attract your prospective customers, clients, or if you have a healthcare facility, patients. The other type of marketing is outbound marketing. This is where you send out messages, communications, old type telemarketing, right? Some sort of communication that goes outbound. So inbound is you're attracting, outbound, you're trying to get the message across by sending it outbound. Now, typically, inbound works quite a bit better because when you're trying to attract someone, chances are they're going to be attracted to you when they A, have a problem, a need, or a want for something that you have to sell, right? When you do outbound, you may be targeting thousands or tens of thousands or millions of people. Unlikely if you have a small business, but still, right? However many people you're trying to target, when you go outbound, vast majority of them are not looking for what you have to sell. Whereas inbound, if they're looking for something that you have to sell, they will find you, right? Inbound is just that they're finding you because they have a need, a want, or a desire for something that you have to sell. Now, let's focus on inbound for a few minutes and talk about what type of inbound is there and what is really effective for small businesses. In this year, 2020, as I'm recording this, overwhelming majority of inbound search, right, this type of marketing usually attracts people through search, happens through Google. When people have commercial intent, when people want to buy something, we all tend to use Google to search for it, to begin our search. And that search may go through three phases. Phase number one is awareness. You're aware that you have a need or a want or a desire for something, and you may start looking for something in that category, right? If it's a need, you need to start, or you will start addressing the need by looking for, hey, I have this problem and I need to fill it and I don't really understand how to fill it yet, so I'm looking for something, right? In the next phase, after awareness, you go into consideration. Now you know what the problem is, and now you're considering various types of solution for the problem that may be vendor agnostic. It doesn't matter what your business is, it doesn't matter the brand name of the solution or the service or the product, right? You're just looking for various types of solutions to the problem or a need or a want. And in the final stage, you have a decision to make. Thus, it's called a decision stage. So once you go from awareness to consideration to decision, in the decision, you're looking for particular solutions with particular vendors or manufacturers, and you're trying to decide whether this is something that you actually want to buy from vendor A, B, or C. So for example, I am recording this video using a Canon 80D camera. Before buying it, I looked at what are the best types of cameras to buy to record this type of videos. Canon 80D in my research was the best camera, but my research started with what are the best cameras for vlogging or how to do vlogging, right? So when I would start researching vlogging, I would go and read different articles that would say, well, you need to figure out what content you're going to produce, what equipment you're going to use, how you're going to publish it, where you're going to publish it, how will you get engagement, so many different things. One of the aspects of it was you need to get a camera and a tripod and a microphone and a light. So my team went out and they started researching, well, what kind of camera, what kind of tripod, blah, blah, blah. So through those phases, we got to the decision that we need this type of camera, this type of mic, this type of tripod, this type of light, all of those things, right? It was phases. Was this a big decision? Not huge. I think total investment was about $1,500 or so. But people go through the same type of decision-making process, whether they're buying something relatively inexpensive, that is not a commodity, right? And something that's very expensive, like very expensive consulting services, marketing services, legal service, whatever it may be. We all go through this process, right? It applies to products and it applies to services. It is best to attract, if you're a small business, it is best to attract people through inbound. Does inbound cost money to produce? Absolutely. But typically, that inbound marketing, when done right, every client that you acquire costs you just a fraction of the revenue that they generate. It is not atypical for a small business to spend between 5 and 25%, depending on the type of business that you have, to attract a client. If you provide services and you may have an opportunity for recurring revenue, this could be nothing if you think about in totality, in terms of totality of the entire lifetime value of a client. So for example, let's say an initial spend of that client with you could be $200, and you may want to spend 50% or 100% of that revenue because you know that over the lifetime of the relationship that this client has with your business, they may be spending 20 grand or $2,000 or $5,000 or $10,000. Whatever it may be, it will be substantially more than the initial transactional spend. It's a very smart way to think about marketing. When you're acquiring a client, you do not get a client to make a transaction or sale. You make a sale to acquire a client. This applies to many, many businesses. If you're just selling products, this does not apply to you. So whenever you think about the types of marketing that you're going to do, the most effective way to measure it is, one, can you get as many clients as you need to accomplish your revenue objective? And two, what is going to be your customer or client acquisition cost? Those are two very important metrics. So going back to the idea of inbound marketing, seeing how it's very effective, one way to do inbound marketing is by creating content and posting that content across channels, on your website, on your blog, on your Facebook, on your Instagram, depending on what it is that you're selling and who it is that product or service is for, right? Doing this most cost effectively, and there are other videos that you should watch where I talk about how we create these videos very, very cost effectively and very, very fast. For example, right, this is one of the ways to attract people inbound. The other type of inbound could be as simple as running ads on Google. There is another video that's going to be linked up below as well, where you will learn how to cost effectively produce those ads and do it so effectively that, again, the spend on marketing is going to be just fractional in comparison to what it is that you're going to generate. So for most search, where you want to be is in the organic space below the ads and in the ad space. Ads work incredibly well with people who are ready to buy today. And as you think about whatever it is that you're selling, you'll realize that vast majority of people today are not ready to buy. Although they may be buying your product or service in the coming months, they might not be ready to buy today. They may be searching because they're looking for information, and they will be ready to buy a few weeks from now or a few months from now, whichever it may be. So when you think about what is most effective marketing for your brand, for your company, is think about it this way. Aside from inbound and outbound, you need to break it down into marketing for people who are early in the buying journey and people who are ready to buy now. What are you developed that's effective for people who are early in the buying journey? Information that answers their questions so as to guide them through the buying process to the point where now they're ready to buy, now they're biased toward you, and they're going to call on you, come and visit you, or make a purchase on your website, depending on the type of the business that you have. How do you do that? What information do you provide to them? Think about it in terms of what questions do customers ask you? If you know what questions they ask, you know what type of information you need to have on your website, on your blog, in your social media channels like LinkedIn if you're B2B, Facebook, also if you're B2B or B2C. Sometimes it doesn't apply to B2B, but to many it does apply. Instagram, definitely if you're B2C. Snapchat, if you're the right type of B2C, selling like consumer goods that are more slanted toward younger generation, etc., etc. So again, inbound breaks down into those categories, right? You could do whatever channel that people are using to look up information about you, majority of them, and second, minority of them, people who are ready to buy. Give them the right information. So my formula is be where and when they're looking for you, meaning they're looking for your products and or services. And second is give them what they want. If they're ready to buy, give them all the information that people need to buy from you. How do you know what information that they need? When you talk to your prospects and when you answer their questions, learn from them what questions they're asking and use that information, use those questions to provide them with the right information when they're ready to buy. It is really super simple, surprisingly, or not surprisingly rather, because most people do not think about it in those terms. Most companies, most businesses, big and small, do not provide adequate amount of information packaged in a concise way to help their prospects buy from them. It's very expensive not to provide the right information because, especially if you're spending money on advertising and marketing, when you do that and you do not provide the right information, people will not buy from you. They will go to your competitors and buy from them. Devastating waste of money. Don't do that. Now, this is all inbound type of marketing, and once again, I broke it into two pieces. Things that you need to provide to the clients when they're looking for information, things that you need to provide to the clients when they're ready to buy. Now there is other type of marketing, and that's outbound. Is it effective? It can be incredibly effective, but when I say incredibly effective, it means that you can generate enough business to meet your revenue objectives, and you could do it cost effectively. However, typically, outbound marketing does require more resources, time, and effort. Why? Because now you're going after a much wider group that may not be in the market. Like overwhelming majority of these people may not be in the market to buy whatever it is that you're selling. So think about it this way. Outbound marketing could be considered broadcast marketing, billboards, radio advertising, TV advertising, newspaper ads. I know most people don't read newspapers, but I think in every major metropolitan area in the US today, as of 2020, there are still major newspapers that are distributed in like hundreds of thousands of units per day. So people must be buying them and people must be reading them. I mean, I see my neighbors, they're still getting newspapers, Wall Street Journal, Chicago Tribune, etc. Sometimes people still get them, right? So, but if you post an ad there or run an ad on newspaper, on a radio station or on TV or buy a billboard, all of those things, you got to expect that overwhelming majority of people who will see or hear or read your ad, they're not going to respond because it's not for them. So again, less effective. But here's what does work for outbound marketing that is effective. So if you are a B2B brand and you're selling something that's fairly high-end, LinkedIn can work incredibly well. Why? Because if you can pinpoint the audience of people who actually should be buying whatever it is that you're selling within a certain period of time, and you communicate with them, you develop the channel of communication with them over a period of time, because you can direct message people through LinkedIn. It's called paid messages or sponsored messages rather. You can communicate with the right people. Is the open rate high? It's not. I think it's definitely under 3% as of 2020 when you're doing sponsored messages. But it's there. People do open them, especially if your subject line is just right. Something that catches people's attention. Does it cost a lot of money to do it? It does not. But you need to be prepared that this is going to be a very, very long-term game, as in you will need to communicate so many times with so many people to get a client. However, it's very inexpensive and fairly effective, so you can do that. What other types of outbound marketing still works incredibly well? I don't really know. I think that a lot of it, aside from like going directly to the right type of people, is highly ineffective because again, you're just broadcasting a message to so many people. So inbound marketing, when people are coming to you, is a lot more effective. So I suggest that you focus on inbound marketing, and the way that if I would go about it, if I had a very small business, startup now, or maybe our revenues were under $1 million, I would look at where the attention is. Where are your prospects looking for whatever it is that you're selling, be it Google or Yelp or YouTube, wherever. Where are they looking for information that's related to your products and or services? Where are they looking for vendors that sell your products or similar products and services? This is where I would want to be. Second, I would give them the information that they need to make a decision, and I would give them information that would help them make a decision to advance from awareness stage to consideration stage to decision stage, as I described before. So information that would answer their questions here, and there, and help them across all of these channels to get the right information and to develop bias toward me. Now, one advanced tip here is that just because you attracted them doesn't mean that they're going to buy from you. So the second priority after attracting them should be converting the eyeballs, converting the attention into leads. And what leads are? Basically, it's their contact information that will allow you to see who raised their hand and said, I am interested in whatever it is that you're selling, or I have a problem that you can help me solve, and then gently, not annoyingly, following up with them over the term of weeks and months and possibly quarters and years until they are ready to buy. How do you do that? The best way that we know how to follow up with people is to deliver very, very valuable information to them. And here's how we do it. Let's suppose that someone visits your website and gives you their contact information because they downloaded a checklist on your website or a white paper on your website or signed up for some sort of a trial on your website. Now you know what kind of problem they're looking to solve, because that checklist, white paper, or something else definitely helps them learn something, and that learning is associated with a certain problem or need that they need to solve. Now, anyone who downloads white paper type A or checklist type B we know that these people should also have these 2 or 3 dozen questions, because everybody has a bunch of questions about anything that they buy until their mind is fully satisfied and prepared to make the buying decision. So what we would advise our clients to do, and this is what we do for our clients, we would create a sequence of emails that would be delivered over a prolonged period of time to help clients learn answers to those questions, so they become much better educated consumers and make the best buying decision. By supplying those emails over a period of time, and those emails not being promotional in nature, but educational in nature, really not self-serving, not trying to make a sale, but rather giving them the right information to make a better buying decision. By supplying them with that information, they will develop a natural bias, and more of them are going to actually reach out to you when they're ready to buy. Thanks for watching. I wish you lots of success. If you do have questions about how to execute this well, reach out to us. It's really simple. Hit a contact us form or email me directly. I'll be happy to respond. You can find me by emailing Sasha, S-A-S-H-A, @comradeweb.com. Thanks for watching.